With Epic Universe hurtling toward its completion date in summer of 2025, it's about time that Disney gets serious about what they're going to do at Walt Disney World in the next 5 years. And so today, let's dive in and discuss the possibilities and the logistics of this Beyond Big Thunder expansion at the Magic Kingdom. Up next. Hi there Waltoneers, I'm Jack and this is DSY Newscast. Before we get into the topic for today, I just want to say a big thanks to every single one of you, as today marks the 6-year anniversary since my first newscast video in 2017. And I also want to give a massive shout out to the official Waltoneer Club over on Patreon who help support this channel. And if you're interested in joining to get exclusive content like Newscast Extra, which are additional episodes where I discuss topics in depth on Patreon, behind the scenes updates, or exclusive live stream Q&A sessions, I'll leave a link down below in the description box. But now with all of that being said, let's get straight into the topic. As last year at D23 Expo in September, Disney Parks chairman Josh D'Amaro hosted what turned out to be an ironically titled presentation called A Boundless Future for the Disney Parks. And after 90 minutes of updates on existing projects that would have been more befitting of a Disney Parks blog post, it seemed as if the immediate future of the Disney Parks was shaping up to be anything but boundless, as clearly Disney had some very tight fiscal restraints on their future investment in the parks division. But then, at the conclusion of the presentation, D'Amaro teased the prospect of ambitious new land expansions coming to Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom. Now, I've previously spoken about the Animal Kingdom expansion in great detail last November, which I highly recommend checking out. But in terms of the Magic Kingdom expansion, it's said to feature Pixar's Coco, Disney's Encanto, and also the eagerly anticipated Villains Kingdom. And because this onstage brainstorm session looked to be nothing more than a last-minute attempt to add an exciting news headline moment, following on from the disappointment of budget cuts and projects being cancelled altogether since the last D23 Expo in 2019, many Disney fans could be forgiven for believing that none of this will come to fruition either. But since then, there's been a major change, one that should make us all reevaluate our well-placed skepticism. As in November of 2022, we saw the ouster of previous CEO Bob Chapek, and the return of Bob Iger as Disney CEO once again. And although Iger is definitely not without his faults, he has always been a major proponent of the belief that Disney parks need continued investment to keep them relevant and competitive. And this can be seen played out over the course of his previous tenure as CEO, as he gave Imagineers the money to fix Disney California Adventure, build Cars Land, build new Fantasyland at Magic Kingdom, Pandora, the World of Avatar Animal Kingdom, multiple Toy Story lands, begin to fix Hong Kong Disneyland and Walt Disney Studios Park in Paris, build 2 Star Wars themed lands simultaneously, and also create a brand new Disney park in Shanghai Disneyland. And that's not even to mention the refurbishment or revamp of many existing attractions as well. And so now with Iger back at the helm, it's no great surprise to hear that Disney's once again thinking about investing in a big way in their theme parks. As after all, the Disney Parks Experience and Products division delivered a monumental revenue earning of $28.7 billion in 2022. But more than that, there's been some very encouraging statements in the past few months that make the prospect of this large-scale expansion ever more possible. As on the February 8th Q1 earnings call, Iger stated that he was very bullish on the theme parks and saw opportunities to include more IP in expanded areas of the theme parks to increase capacity. Then at the annual shareholders meeting on April 3rd, Iger stated that Disney was currently planning on a $17 billion investment into Walt Disney World over the next decade. And so with all of that in mind, I think it's about time that we dive in and discuss just how logistically this Magic Kingdom expansion could actually work. As we all know that it was described on stage as being beyond Big Thunder Mountain. But precisely where is the big question that we all want answered. And despite Disney not specifying the exact location of the expansion pad, there is a way we can work it out. As you see, the land Disney purchased in Florida is mostly made up of swampy wetland, which means that Disney can only build on land that has been tested and deemed suitable for construction. So that's where this comes in handy. As on page 57 of the Reedy Creek Improvement District's 2032 Comprehensive Plan, there is this composite suitability ratings map, and this shows the entire 27,000 acres of Disney property and the patchwork classification it has been given relating to the suitability for construction. But because the map is low resolution, it makes it a little bit hard to decode. So here's a high resolution satellite image with the overlay details, as it means that some of the wetland that is suitable is comfortably above the 100-year flood elevation level. But the land that's marginally unsuitable will just require some substantial preliminary work to make the land ready to then begin construction. Therefore, if we are to understand that Disney will only be building within the existing boundaries of the Magic Kingdom's perimeter enclosed by the Floridian Way Road, then logically this Beyond Big Thunder expansion will be located in this space here. And in actual fact, it seems that Disney has been making preparations for this Magic Kingdom expansion for quite a while. As back in November 2021, I actually discussed how Disney was in the middle of an infrastructure project titled World Drive North Phase 3, which involved the rerouting of the existing Floridian Way to a new layout connecting it to the newly widened Floridian Place. And at the time, I said this. And so all of this poses the question of why would Disney be willing to upend and reroute this entire road section if there wasn't to be some sort of significant development within the area? And so now we know that at least one of the reasons for alleviating pressure on the Floridian Way at the backstage of Magic Kingdom was because Disney has been eyeing this as a future expansion location. But now that we've assessed the suitability and the location of the expansion, let's now talk about what you all want to hear about, and that is the possibilities that it could hold. As this expansion measures out to be a very sizable 17 acres of available space just waiting to be unlocked, which would increase the total footprint of the Magic Kingdom by approximately 15%. Or to put this into better context, you could fit all of Fantasyland, both new and old, inside of this 17-acre expansion plot at the back of Big Thunder Mountain, which is pretty incredible to think about. However, that's just an abstract comparison, so instead let's transplant some of the show buildings of the latest and greatest attractions at a 1-to-1 scale into the expansion pad to show what could be possible. As you could fit Flight of Passage and Nave River Journey, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, Rise of the Resistance, the Be Our Guest Restaurant, Satu'li Canteen, Docking Bay 7 and Ronto Roasters, and even the Indiana Jones Stunt Show Spectacular Theatre, all within this 17-acre expansion pad. And at this point you may be asking, why did I choose these four attractions in particular? And well, it all comes back to the vague descriptions that they gave on stage at D23 Expo, as the Coco attraction was described as flying on the back of an alebrije within the Land of the Dead, which does lend itself to the Flight of Passage ride system. Then the Encanto attraction was teased as journeying through the Madrigal Casita, which, considering the story The House Has a Mind of Its Own, a trackless ride system like the one featured in Ratatouille or Mystic Manor would make a lot of sense. And then for the Villains Kingdom section, I decided upon Rise of Resistance as an example of a massive show building that would be capable of housing an immersive environment at large scale. Then in terms of Be Our Guest, Satu'li Canteen and Docking Bay 7, there will surely be a mix of table service and quick service restaurants within the expansion, and I threw in the Stunt Show Theatre just to demonstrate how much extra space would still be left over. And even with all of that, there would still be room for placemaking and landscaping to then segment it into 3 separate distinct lands. As judging by the extremely vague impressionist blue sky artwork, it seems that the village of Coco, Santa Cecilia, would be located nearer Big Thunder Mountain, and then the village from Encanto would be located over on the right hand side of the land, leaving then furthest to the back the Villain Kingdom. However, then we come to the next big conundrum, and that is, how is Disney planning on getting the guests back to this very sizable expansion location? And from what insiders have indicated and what makes the most logical sense, there are only two paths, with the first one connecting from between Big Thunder and Splash Mountain and following parallel to the railroad tracks up to the expansion. And then the other one would connect from just in front of the Haunted Mansion and follow along the waterfront to get to the expansion. But there is seemingly a big problem that Imagineering would need to overcome here. And no, it's not the backstage waterway, as that could easily be solved with a movable bridge like what can be found over in World Showcase. But instead, the problem is distance, as the shorter of the two paths is approximately 550 feet, which is the equivalent of walking from the beginning of Main Street USA down to the Partners statue, or walking from Festival of the Lion King to Pandora in Animal Kingdom, which needless to say would be a very boring and uneventful walk if Disney didn't find a way to make it more exciting along the way. But then on the other side, it's even more of a problem, as it's a whopping 1,100 feet, which would be like walking from the entrance of Magic Kingdom all the way to the castle stage, without anything along the way. So to help alleviate this problem, my solution would be to do something similar to what Disneyland did in 2016 with their Rivers of America, where Disney could drain and restructure the waterway and then reclaim another 4 acres of land to be used within the expansion, thus meaning that it would shorten the 1,100 foot path down to a more reasonable 450 feet. And then the other advantage of this would be there would be an additional 4 acres of space where you could locate the village from Encanto here, Coco over here on the left behind Big Thunder, and then allocate more space to the Villain Kingdom at the back of the park. However, now that we've addressed all the logistics and the possibilities, let's talk about the timeline. And well, considering that Disney has announced a capital expenditure reduction of $700 million for the fiscal year of 2023, it means that we probably won't see any developments until at least October of this year, when Disney's new fiscal year starts for 2024. And although I'm expecting the work to begin on the Moana expansion and ride over Animal Kingdom at the end of this year, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility altogether that we may see some preliminary work on this Magic Kingdom expansion by the end of this year into early next year. As if Disney is serious about having this expansion ready by 2028, it's going to require a few years of construction, as it is so much more complicated logistically than that of the Moana expansion. And so that's everything I've got for you today on this topic, but be sure to subscribe and stay tuned to the channel, as I'll be back with more updates in the future. But now, it's over to you, the Waltoneers. I would like to know, what are your thoughts and opinions on this Magic Kingdom expansion? And what would you like to see put into this 17-acre plot of land at the back of Magic Kingdom? And if you've enjoyed this video for today, then give this video a massive thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't already, check out the rest of the videos on the channel, and I also want to give a massive thank you to all of the Waltoneer Gold members over on the official Waltoneer Club on Patreon. And with all of that being said, I've been Jack, you've been you, and I'll see you real soon.